Hey everyone, Catherine and Erica here from Catherine Pooler Designs. Surprisingly, we are not stamping today.
Not today.
We have a special guest. We have invited Carissa Wiley to our channel for this video.
Yes, Carissa is going to be teaching us all of the things about hot foiling. She's going to be featuring our Let Us Adore Him stamp set and foil products, creating some cards, and giving you guys all of the tips, tricks, and techniques, the behind the scenes info of how to get the best results with your foiling.
I'm so excited for this because I've learned so much from Carissa about hot foiling, so we decided just to bring her straight over here so you guys can learn too. All of the products she uses will be linked below the video on YouTube, and if you will just take a second to give her a thumbs up and leave a comment so she knows how much we love having her on the channel.
Yeah, let's take a look at what Carissa's going to create for us. Get ready, guys.
All right, let's do it.
Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley here for CatherinePooler.com. Thanks for joining me today. Today we are doing a little bit of foiling for the holidays, and we're using some brand new holiday sets from Catherine Pooler's line, and I'm so excited to share these with you. Now, some of them have kind of a funny backing because they were the test products, so just keep that in mind. Yours are going to come like they normally come, and I'm going to be using this Let Us Adore Him 6x8 stamp set along with the foil add-on. Now, these foil plates have their own coordinating dies, and I'm going to show you how all of this works, as well as give you some great tips and tricks for foiling. Now, I'm also going to be using the brand new Dotted Frames hot foil plates and coordinating dies, as well as the new Holly Branches die set. This is absolutely gorgeous. Now, when we're talking about foiling, I wanted to point out that there are two main foil systems available on the market. The first is the Gemini foil press. Now, this system is compatible with the Gemini Junior die cutting machine. So if you have a Gemini Junior and you want to use it to foil, you'll want to pick up the foil press. The Glimmer system is from Spellbinders, and this is compatible with the Spellbinders Platinum 6 and some other manual die cut machines that are on the market. But what I really want to tell you is that the principles of foiling, whether you're using the Gemini foil press or the Spellbinders Glimmer system, are the same. So you're gonna see me switching back and forth between the two systems in today's videos, but you're gonna see that I create my sandwiches in the same way. I'm using heat, pressure, a hot foil stamp, and a hot foil to create my images. Now, both of them have kind of some indicator lights that show you when your platform is ready. Here on the Glimmer, you're gonna notice that green light light up when it's ready. And on the foil press, you'll notice a green indicator light. Now, the foil press has 3 different heat settings. And that is important depending on the type of foil that you're using. And you're gonna see me kind of change my heat throughout the video today, depending on what foil I'm using. It also has an adjustable timer. The Glimmer system has one and done timer system, so it has fewer buttons, but basically what I want you to know is that these both do the same thing. They heat up your hot foil plate, you use the hot foil, you press it onto your paper. Now, when you're doing this type of foiling, you want to make sure that you have a heat transfer foil, not a toner reactive foil. In the past, when we've used toner sheets and things like that and a laminator, we've used a toner reactive foil. But the Glimmer foils, the Gemini foil press foils, those are all compatible with these hot foil systems. I believe there's also a Deco foil hot foil option in the Catherine Pooler shop. But keep in mind, you just want to make sure that you're using the right foils. Now, I will tell you that you can use the Gemini foils with the Glimmer system, and you can use the Glimmer foils with the Gemini foil press system. So you don't have to stay within one manufacturer for your foils, but they are a little bit different in the heat that they like, and we'll talk about that. Now, I like to take my rolls and cut them into sheets that measure about 5.5 inches and store them in a stamp pocket. This is completely optional, but this allows me to have my foils pre-cut and ready to go. And then I can add my little scraps right there in the front. And I just label them with a little label maker to keep everything sorted out for me. Now, I want to say that when you're foiling, Do not underestimate the importance of a great cardstock. You're going to want to use a cardstock that is as smooth as possible. We're going to talk through a couple troubleshooting things in this video today, but I want to tell you, if you're not getting great results, there is a good possibility that the cardstock that you're using is not ideal for foiling. So look for a very smooth, I mean like smooth as a baby's bottom, white cardstock when you're doing foiling. Now let's talk about the difference between a hot foil stamp or a hot foil plate and a die. A hot foil plate is going to have thick, raised edges that will press a lot of foil onto the cardstock. A die, on the other hand, is going to have thin edges that are meant to cut. Now, can you foil with a die? Yes, you can, and we will get into that a little bit later, but for now, let's talk about how to foil. So I've added a bunch of hot foil plates onto my Glimmer platform, and I have started the timer. You can see my timer button blinking there. And while those are heating up, while the timer is running through its allotted time period, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I have my foil and my cardstock ready. Now, when the timer has run through its cycle, that light will become solid. It will stop blinking. I can remove my platform from the base. I'm going to take it over to my die cut machine. Today I'm using the Spellbinders Platinum 6, and I'm going to add my foil with the pretty side facing the design of the hot foil plates. I'm going to add my white cardstock and then the 2 shims that come with the Glimmer system, and then I'm going to roll it through my Platinum 6 die cut machine. Now, I wanted you to see me do this in real time, because I'm not rushing this process. I'm making sure that I get my foil covering all of my hot foil plates. I'm adding my cardstock, my shims, and then running it through my die cut machine, kind of at a slow pace. And then you can see when I remove my foil, I have these gorgeous hot foiled images. Now you can use a magnet tool that comes with either the Glimmer system or the Gemini foil press to remove these from the platform because they will be a little bit warm. But for now, let's foil with the foil press. Now, when you're using the Gemini foil press with a Gemini foil, I like to use it on the low heat setting, which is that very bottom button. But today I am using a Glimmer foil with the Gemini foil press, and I have found that the Glimmer foils like a little more heat than the Gemini foil press. So you can see I've pushed that middle button to set my platform to a medium heat. Then I will add my hot foil plates onto the platform, and I am going to set my timer for 1 minute. I'm going to wait until that platform is ready, so that light is green, and then I'll just start my timer, and that's going to be a minute-long timer. Now, once this timer is done, you're going to actually hear a beep on the Gemini foil press. Then you can remove your platform from the base. You're going to add your foil with the pretty side facing the design of the hot foil plates. You're going to add your cardstock right on top of that, and then your shim that comes with the Gemini foil press. Then you can take this entire thing over to your Gemini Junior and feed that through. Now, you don't have to worry about how fast you're going because the Gemini just does that for you. And then you can bring this over to your platform, plug that back into the base, and now it's time for the peel and reveal. And look at that, I have beautifully foiled sentiments and images just like that. Now we're gonna keep the foils, the negative area of the foils that we just used, because I'm gonna show you how you can use those for reverse foiling. But before I do that, I thought I would just show you a quick foiling of these dotted frames using the same sandwich as before. So I'm using a Glimmer foil, so I have it on my medium heat. I'm going to add my foil with the pretty side facing the design of the plate. I'm going to add my cardstock right on top of that, my shim, and then run this through my Gemini Junior, and I'm going to end up with this beautiful foiled dotted frame. Now, I have to tell you, there's nothing like foiling. I mean, it is so beautiful. It is so shiny. Yes, embossing powder is magical, but for me, foil is where it's at. Now I'm going to foil this dotted frame one more time with my Glimmer system. I've added it to the platform, so my hot foil plate has the design facing up towards me on the platform. I've run my timer. It's gone ahead and run through the timer process. I'm adding my foil with the pretty side touching the pretty side of my plate. I've added my cardstock and the 2 shims that come with the glimmer system, and now I'm running it through my die cut machine. And you're gonna see I have this beautiful dotted foil. It's so dainty, it's kind of hard to pick it up on the camera, but you can see it there, and I will use this in one of my projects. Now I wanted to show you how you can use this large, solid, rectangle hot foil plate to create reverse foil designs of the images. So I have set aside the foil that I used earlier on all of those images, and I've added this solid hot foil plate to my platform of my glimmer, and I've run it through the timer. Now watch what I'm doing here. I'm removing the platform from the base and then plugging it back in and waiting for that platform ready light to come back on. And I'm gonna hit the timer again. This is running this through the timer twice so that I make sure that this large area of metal is nice and hot. Then I'm going to grab this foil from the images that we foiled earlier. So this is my leftovers. And I'm going to use this to foil with this large, solid, rectangle hot foil plate. So once again, I am going to add this with the pretty side facing my hot foil plate. And I'm going to add my cardstock right on top of that. And this is going to give me the reverse image. So everything that was foiled before will be white, and everything that was white before will be foiled. I've added my 2 shims on top that come with the Glimmer Hot Foil system. I'm running that through my die cut machine, and let me show you this. Now here's where we're gonna start troubleshooting. I'm gonna peel up just a corner of this to peek at the results that I got. And I can see that there's a couple areas where maybe I got some skipping of my foil. So in order to remedy that, I'm just going to run this solid hot foil plate through the timer one more time. Maybe it didn't get quite hot enough before, and I'm gonna place this entire thing back onto that solid hot foil plate, and I'm gonna run it through my glimmer system again. Generally speaking, there are 3 issues that you may be having when you're not getting good foiling. The first one is not enough heat. So you would remedy that by either turning up the heat on your platform if it's the foil press, or running your plate through another timer on your glimmer if that's the one that you're using. And you can see when I peel this away, I have beautiful foiled results. And that is the reverse foiled image of those images that we had earlier. So back to our 3 issues. Either not enough heat, not enough pressure, which you could then add like a lightweight cardstock shim, or the third one is your cardstock. So those are generally the 3 areas that you're going to find better success is changing up those things. So either heat, pressure, or cardstock. Now I'm going to show you how you can use the solid hot foil plate to add foil to a die cut as well. So you can see I have the holly branch die cut here. I'm adding my foil onto the solid hot foil plate and then my die cut. Now I have a piece of regular just computer paper between the die cut and my shims because there are areas of this that are going to be exposed to my plates and I don't want to foil on my plates. You're going to see what I'm showing you here. Because this is an open die cut, all of that foil would have been on my plates had I not used a scrap piece of paper in there. But with this hot foil plate and a little bit of foil, I can add foil to this entire die cut, and look at how that plain white die cut has been transformed. So that's another fun thing that you can do with a solid hot foil plate like this. Now, because I know this is one of the most asked questions that I get, can you hot foil with a die? I'm going to answer it for you here. The answer is yes, but because dies are designed to cut and not to foil, you're going to get a very, very, very dainty line of foil. So it's not going to give you the same effect as a hot foil plate. So I'm doing this the same way that I've done all the other hot foil plates. I'm adding them onto my platform with the blade side up. I'm running that through the timer. Then I'm taking this over to my die cut machine. I'm adding the foil with the pretty side facing towards my dies. And then I'm adding my cardstock and my 2 plates and running that through. Now you're gonna see when I peel this back, only the cut lines have foil in them, and that's because that's the raised area of the die. So the answer is, can you use a die to foil? The answer is yes, but you're gonna get a very different result than when you use a hot foil plate that is designed for hot foil. The hot foil plates are really designed with a lot more raised area, so you get a lot more foil transfer. Now I'm going to hot foil a die cut once again, and this time I'm using the Gemini foil press and a green foil. Now I'm going to add this on with my foil and then my die cut and then a scrap piece of paper so that I don't get foil onto my shim. And keep in mind, if you do get foil onto your shim, it's not a big deal. It still works. But you will foil your hot foil plate as well. And I'm gonna run this through my Gemini Junior. Now, for whatever reason, colored foils tend to be a little bit more finicky than the golds. At least this is what I find. And you can already see that I didn't get a ton of foil transfer onto my scrap piece of paper. And that tells me right away that something happened. And you're gonna see here, I did not get a great foil. Now, I'm not gonna peel this all the way off. I'm gonna put this right back on to my solid hot foil plate here. But this time, I'm gonna keep the sandwich the same. I am going to turn the heat up to the high heat setting on my foil press. Now, keep in mind the glimmer runs a little hotter on its own, so you don't have a temperature setting on that one. But this time I turned the heat setting up to high on my foil press. I ran it back through with the same exact sandwich, and you can see I already have more foil transfer onto that scrap piece of paper, which tells me I got a better foiled image this time. And you can see when I run that through and I peel it off, I have a perfectly foiled die cut image. So once again, the three things that you're gonna look for if you're not getting great results is number one, heat, number two, pressure, and number three, cardstock. Now, I happen to know that the cardstock that I'm using today is fabulous for foiling, so I don't have a problem with that. So if I'm running into issues, I know that I either need more heat or I need more pressure. And most of the time, you're gonna remedy that by turning up the heat on your foil press or by running your plate through an additional timer cycle on your glimmer system. And the system that you're gonna wanna get is the one that is compatible with whatever die cut system you have. So now that we've talked through a ton of the ins and outs of hot foiling, let's move on to making a card. I've gone ahead and die cut the foiled images that I created earlier using the coordinating dies. And now I'm going to take this image, which is the Mary and Joseph image from the Let Us Adore Him 6x8 stamp set. And I'm stamping this onto some white cardstock using the brand new On the Lake ink color. Now I'm going to grab my Shea Butter ink. I've heat set this so that I'm not smearing that on the lake. And I'm gonna add just a little bit of glow coming up from the center of this image, kind of radiating out towards the top. Now, I thought I might just leave the background white, but I decided to go ahead and create kind of a dramatic night sky. And so to do this, I'm blending on some dress blues around the edge, coming in towards the center of my image. And then I'm going to kind of make this a little more dramatic by adding some Flirty Fuchsia coming in kind of more towards the center. But as I add more and more color, you're gonna see that they all blend together really nicely to create kind of a really dramatic looking night sky. And you can create a night sky in so many different ways. This is just how I happen to do it today. Now I've blended on that Flirty Fuchsia and I wanted to kind of really make it dramatic around the edges. So I'm bringing in my Midnight ink and I'm blending that around the edges as well to really make that outer edge very dramatic. And I have a little bit of posted tape over my fingers so I don't get inky fingers. I, unlike Catherine, am not a fan of having ink all over my fingers. She can do it, and girl, I love you for that because you just don't care, but it just makes me a little bit crazy. Now I have this little ray of vellum, and I have die cut that using the Catherine Pooler Sunburst Strips cover plate, which I love so much. I've just grabbed one of the strips from this, so I have several other vellum strips left over that I can create this again. And I'm adding that to the center, and I'm adding my foiled pieces over the top of that vellum ray using some foam adhesive. Now I had trimmed down this Star of Bethlehem at the top, and I decided I wanted the full Star of Bethlehem, so I'm adhering that over the top. And you can see I have the Oh Holy Night sentiment there to the side. I've added this on top of that dotted frame that I created earlier and added the entire thing to an ivory card base to finish that off. Now, one thing we didn't talk about earlier is how to place a hot foil plate exactly where you want it onto your card project. So if you don't want to die cut it out, but you want it on your card base, you can use what's called the hinge method. I'm using a little bit of craft tape here to tape my hot foil plate on one edge with the pattern facing my cardstock. So I'm kind of building this backwards from what you would do on your actual platform. Keep in mind that the dull side of the foil is always going to face towards your cardstock. So if you get confused, just think dull side to the cardstock and you'll be okay. So that allowed me to flip up this foil plate, add my foil underneath, and it will keep my hot foil plate or my hot foil design exactly where I want it on my card base. I'm then going to take this entire thing, tape and all, add it to my glimmer platform and hit my timer button. Now, once my timer is done, you're going to notice that that timer button is not flashing. It is solid. I'm going to remove the platform from the base and then place this into my die cutting machine, run that through, and now I have a foiled design exactly where I want it on my card base. So if you want to place something exactly where you want it, you'll use this hinge method. I don't do it unless I want to make sure that it's exactly where I want it. I usually just foil onto a larger piece of a cardstock and then trim that down. Now I have 2 layers of plain white cardstock that I've die cut using this holly branches frame, which I think is so beautiful. And on top of those 2 layers, I'm going to place this foiled frame that we created earlier. So I have a stack of 3 frames there, but the top one has that foil on it. And I'm going to use the Merry Christmas sentiment that we foiled earlier. I die cut that using the coordinating die. And I've placed that over on the edge of my frame with a strip of green cardstock that I created using the Deck the Halls ink color from Catherine Pooler. And I finished that off with just a few sequins from the Crater Lake sequin mix. So there you have it, all the ins and outs, the basics of hot foiling. I hope you picked up lots of tips and tricks to make you really successful in your next attempt at hot foiling. I have to tell you, it is one of my favorite techniques out there on the market. And I love that Catherine Pooler has started including these hot foil plates in her designs and releases. Now, if you're looking for more information or a product list for the projects that I have shown you today, be sure to check the YouTube description below or head on over to the Catherine Pooler Designs blog. You'll find lots of information over there. I want to thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed these projects. I hope you've picked up lots of tips and tricks, and I hope you'll try hot foiling soon. As always, I'm so glad you're here with me. Thanks for watching. I'm Carissa Wiley, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.